Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's tutorial is on this smoky eye look. It is very dark but with a nude lip, so it balances out really nicely. I posted a photo on Facebook a few days back and asked if anybody would be interested in seeing this smoky eye look. I was so surprised at how many people said yes, so I decided to film the tutorial and I really love the way that it turned out. You know, it's a little dramatic, but sometimes that's okay, and I absolutely love it. So if you are interested in how I got this look, then just keep watching. And by the way, I do have a shirt on. I swear this is not that kind of channel. So for this look, we're gonna go ahead and do our eyes first. That way, if we get any dark shadows that have any fallout underneath of our eyes, we can just fix that quickly and easily with our foundation and our concealer. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom you guys in, that way you can see up close what I'm doing. First, we're gonna prime our eyes. Just use the primer of your choice. I'm using the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot. Now that we've primed our eyes, we're gonna go with our first black product. I'm using the YSL Couture Kajal pencil. You do not have to use this same pencil. Use whatever you have. You just want to make sure that it is a smudgeable black eyeliner. That is where I had the most issue. Most of the eyeliners I have, once you put them on, they are locked in place. But I do know that L'Oreal and I think Maybelline make a Kajal liner, which is perfect for this look, just because it is so easily smudgeable. You take it, and with Kajal, it's an interesting shape. You don't use the point, you just use the side. And what we're gonna do is just kind of smudge it on our eye like this, in no particular form or fashion. And then I take just a brush. This one's from the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. I just like this brush on the side and just kind of smudge it out. One thing I forgot to mention is that before you put down that black product, make sure you have some sort of transition color. I just used the bronzer that I'm going to be using later throughout this video. So I did put it on this eye, and then I went ahead and put it on this eye as well. Just make sure you do that before you put the black liner down. So we're going to continue going in with the Kajal pencil and just kind of build it up to your desired intensity. I'm keeping it to the outer 2/3 of the eye rather than going into that inner third of the eye. As far as the shape, we're gonna want to make it almost like a cat eye, kind of wing it towards the end. Just that way so it's easier to connect to our lower lash line. And just keep smudging it out. Color is not going to be completely opaque. It might be too blue, it might be too gray. That's okay, we're gonna go in with a black shadow next. This is one of the L'Oreal Mono shadows, and it is in the color 209 Noir. And we're just gonna use the other side of that brush, or just a fluffy, dense brush, something that doesn't have too much movement to it. And we're gonna go into that shadow, tap it off, and we're just gonna go over top of what we just laid down with that liner. I like to make it a little extra black towards the outer corner, just to make sure it has a nice gradient. Make it a little more dramatic on that outer corner. Once that intensity is reached, we're gonna put on a more champagne-y color in the inner corner. You can use whatever you have with you. I'm just using a couple of these more champagne-y colors from the Master Palette by Mario. Just take a flat synthetic brush and kind of put that on that inner third of the eye. And it's okay if you overlap a little bit. That is what we want to do. We want to make it blend. Okay, and then we're gonna go back in with that same brush that we used for the black shadow and just kind of blend it even more. We don't want any harsh lines. We want a very soft gradient. Just keep going back and forth until you reach the consistency that you want. I think for right now, I'm just about satisfied with that. We are going to move on to foundation, and then we'll finish the lower lash line and kind of adjust whatever we need to on the upper lid. For primer, I'm just gonna use my normal mixture, the Hangover RX and the L'Oreal Lumi. I'm gonna go ahead and dab a little bit of a silicone primer just on my cheeks. For foundation, we're gonna use the Estee Lauder Double Wear, which I have been so obsessed with recently. The only thing I don't like about this foundation is the fact there is no pump. I just like to dab it one section at a time and blend it in with a wet beauty blender. For these kinds of eye looks, it is my personal preference that you have flawless skin and you don't use anything that looks too cakey. So the Double Wear to me is just perfect because it has full coverage, but it's also a very thin consistency, so it's not gonna cake up on your skin. I don't set mine with powder, I just wait for it to completely dry down. For concealer, I'm gonna go ahead and use the Tarte Shape Tape in Light. Once you have the concealer on, just go ahead and start blending it in with that same wet beauty blender. Once that's all blended in, you want to go ahead and set it down with some powder. I'm going to use the RCMA No Color Powder. I am just going to tap it in with a small brush. Once we've done that, we're gonna go ahead and move on to brows because I am looking a little bit crazy right now without any brows on. And I'm just gonna use the Anastasia Brow Wiz in Soft Brown. Once we have our brows on, we're gonna move on to the rest of our face. I'm gonna use the Hoola bronzer. This is my favorite bronzer right now. So just taking a fluffy brush and just bronze up the face. And always bronze a little down the neck. Now we're gonna move on to cheeks, and I can't decide if I wanna use the Milani Berry Amore or the Hourglass Mood Exposure. So I'm gonna start with the Mood Exposure and see how it goes. If I don't like it, I'll add in the Berry Amore. I like the way that turned out, but I think I'm just gonna soften it up with a powder brush just to make sure it's not too intense. Now we're gonna go back to the eyes and then we'll finish up the face right afterwards. So for the eyes, I'm going to use a gel liner. This one I do not want to smudge, just because I don't want it to transfer and I don't want it to run. So I'm gonna use the Marc Jacobs Highliner Gel Liner in Blacker. So you'll want to line your upper waterline with that. I'm not going to show that on camera because I make the strangest faces. I wear contacts, and so I don't like having anything up there. But for this look, we're going to. We're gonna go ahead and line our lower waterline. Then we're gonna take a pencil brush and that same black shadow that we used before, and we are going to work that in down on the bottom lash line. And you want to connect it to that outer corner to the top. You want to make sure you have a nice connect here on the outer corner. And I'm just kind of taking that same pencil brush, and I'm not putting any excess product on it, but I am just kind of running it along the crease here just to give it a little extra oomph. For me personally, I don't like the black shadow to come up too far into the crease area or onto like the brow bone area. You don't want your smoky eye to look like you just got punched in the eye. You do not want that. That's why I like to use a neutral colored transition shade, and I like to keep that black a little bit lower. From here, you can still see it right above the crease, but it's not too high. It's not taking over the eye. Once that has reached the desired intensity, I just like to take a fluffy powder brush and just kind of go over the top just to blend out, make sure it looks nice and blended. Just very lightly. You don't want to move the color, you just want to blend out the edges. For the inner corner, we're going to go in with the same champagne shades that we used on the inner third. And just take another little pencil brush, little detail brush, and put that into the corner. We're gonna put on just a quick coat of mascara, not a whole lot because we're gonna be using falsies. For lashes, I'm gonna use the Cocoa Lashes in Goddess. I love these. In my opinion, these look just like the House of Lashes Iconics. I'm gonna apply these off camera and I'll be right back. Okay, now that we have our lashes on, we are going to finish the rest of the face and put on our lips. I don't think I've done this in any of my other videos, but I've been doing this like daily for the past 4 months. I just take my wet beauty blender and my translucent powder, whichever one you're using, and I just clean up underneath my bronzer and blush. Because I, just like everybody else, can get a little crazy with the bronzer brush. Especially because I use such a large bronzer brush. Sometimes I want that all over bronze look, but sometimes I want it to be just a little bit more concentrated. So doing this really helps keep it where you want it. Then I just take my powder brush and just wipe it away. But do you see how much sharper that made that? For highlight, we're gonna use Becca Champagne Pop. Woo, girl. And I always like to take a wet beauty blender and just kind of go over the highlight to make it look a little bit more natural and blend it in. Because this look is natural, as you can see. Before we do the lips, we're going to put on some setting spray. I'm using MAC Fix Plus. For lips, I just want to do something really nude and something that isn't going to clash with what we're wearing on top. Our eyes are kind of heavy, so we don't want to put anything too crazy on the bottom. I'm going to use the Maybelline Nude Whisper Lip Liner. And for lipstick, we're going to use one of my absolute favorites. This is the YSL Rouge Couture in 70. It is just like the most perfect nude color ever. And then for gloss, we're going to use the Marc Jacobs gloss in Pretty Things. That's basically it. I mean, to me, it's pretty easy to achieve. Really, you just want to practice your blending. But I mean, you don't really have to use too many products for the eyes. You're just using a shadow and a smudgeable liner. So that is it for this look. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you recreate it. If you do, let me know. Post pictures, tag me in it, whatever. I've linked all of my social media below. As usual, please subscribe to my channel, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps me out, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.